Hey Alex, things are starting to get rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Hey Franco, you got something to say to the crowd? Roll it. Did he say roll it? Yeah, roll the credits, huh? All right, guys, welcome to the Starting Two podcast. Oh. Hey guys, welcome to the Starting Two podcast. This is my new dog Franco. Yes, like Franco Harris. He's an Italian Greyhound. He's my Italian stallion, and he'll probably be making noise throughout this entire episode. Right next to me in his crate, so just ignore it and enjoy him. So
That's also Brody Minnick. I'm Alex Desai.
yeah,
Welcome
more
to Starting
importantly,
Two Podcast.
more importantly, this is Brody and Alex. So welcome to Starting Two podcast, guys. Alex, why don't we get into some topics?
Well, let's talk about some college football first. Had some big games. Maybe had the game of the year, excluding Texas Ohio State from week one. Uh, Indiana Oregon played. What do we got? Kurt Signetti, Dan Lanning had a little bit of a showdown in Eugene, Oregon. What were your thoughts, partner?
Um, awesome game. So I watched College Game Day, and obviously they're way earlier. The time is in Oregon than where I am, so it's kind of cool seeing Saban up at 6 a.m. and talking about some college football. Yeah. So as we talked about, Kirk Signetti, the guy knows how to win. Um, as I'm watching this game, it gets closer to the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Indiana's going to win this game, right? It's a close game. At 10-point difference, 30-20 is final score. Indiana now ranked 3, Oregon dropping to 8. Definitely still a really hard fought game, and this doesn't look bad on Oregon yet because Indiana is undefeated. So overall, great game. I thought that Dante Moore played bad. 2 picks, only 1 touchdown, 186 yards. And on the other hand, we have 20 of 31, 215 yards, touchdown, interception for Fernando Mendoza. He's been pretty lights out all year. Not his greatest performance either, but it's also two juggernauts kind of, punching around. And ultimately, Indiana was able to pull this one out. Indiana's defense is good. Their offense is good. They're a fast team. Everything moves fast about them. Their defensive line just controlled the game. Oregon did not look smooth on offense as they have all season, which is one of their big strong points. I think Dante Moore has been a serious Heisman contender up to this point. I think he still is, but it's a tough game. It's a tough look. They're going to have to rebound. Luckily, their schedule isn't like insanely demanding, so they're going to be just fine. And once again, this looks really good for Indiana, but it also doesn't look terrible for Oregon because it's one of those they lost to now the number 3 team in the country. So yeah, I mean the rushing attack for Oregon, highest leading rusher, we had 59 yards on 8 carries. Next closest was 27 yards, and Dante Moore ended up with negative 27 rushing yards from the sacks that he took. Just not a great game from Oregon. We were hyping up Dan Lanning last week. Great coach. He's coached this program to a new level. And it just, I don't think that's what he wanted to see coming in this matchup. And it being at home in Eugene, it's just like, I don't know.
Tough luck.
It's a tough luck. That's a really hard environment to play in. And Kurt and the boys came in and took care of business. They've got a guy at quarterback who, is better than Curtis Rourke last year. This is a program, when you look at Indiana, you look how Kurt Signetti came in 2 years ago. Okay, so this being his second year. And you know how many games they won? Like, I don't even know, the last, 5 years, combined. It's, maybe 9 or 10 games. And then he comes in, and he automatically wins, 10 last year, 11
On a
last year?
dime.
On a dime. And now he's currently 6-0. So, it's just one of those things. It's like a true good coach can make that difference. We'll get to some coaching things in a minute, but I really do think he has made the heck of a difference, especially coming from JMU, which is crazy. And also saw a picture actually this morning of Kurt Signetti on Alabama's coaching staff at Alabama. I guess all the roads lead to Saban, don't they?
Yes, they do, huh?
Yeah.
And before I give my phenomenal analysis, just want to say that Franco is trying to run halfback right toss on the Christmas presents that you've got over
He
there.
he is. He's tearing up some Scooby snacks right now.
Uh-huh.
Um, God, those are loud, aren't they? Could you hear what I was saying still? All right, hold on. Hey, Franco. Yo, Franco.
Nice weather we're having. Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yep. How are you? That's good. Yeah.
And you know what they say? Life is good, and life is tougher with a hound dog, huh?
I've never heard that in my
Me
life.
neither. I just made it off the top of my dome, off the dome. So let's carry on now that Franco settled down.
Life is good,
Life
but
is
it can
good.
be great.
It can be great when you watch the Starting Two podcast
Hey
and
now.
learn about all the knowledge that you can gain. Maybe some betting props from Alex. Um,
Yeah, next week we're gonna get into a little bit of
oh Lord!
Alex's best bets.
And Alex is gonna go. Link below. You can get $5 off your bet if you just tell him that I sent you the link.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna do that because I think that's borderline like a I don't know. That's got to be some kind of scheme that's illegal. Um, but I will give tips if anybody wants to uh, hear those out. But back to Indiana, Oregon. College football historically, you think about the players associated with it. Now, there's upper echelon coaches that you think, okay, the Sabans of the world, the Bowdens of the world, all these like the big coaches that get a lot of the recognition. But historically, especially excluding Saban in the last 10, 15, 20 years, it's been a player centric kind of game. Going into this game, I think the high points for each team were the coaches. Dan Lanning, obviously, Brody's familiar here. I'm a huge Dan Lanning fan. And Kurt Signetti, I mean, ever since he arrived from JMU and led that program to what they did last year, I was massive on Kurt Signetti and what his boys were doing. Um, and I think like the impact of coaching showed in this most recent game. I think Kurt Signetti is outdid what Dan Lanning usually does and was the better rallier of men. I think he set the tone. Hey, we're gonna go in there. We're gonna play hard nosed football. You talk about the trenches. It felt like Indiana was winning the battle at the line every single possession, both offensively and defensively. They were the more physical, aggressive bunch. And I think ultimately, I'd say Oregon has the better skill position talent and probably the better quarterback, maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that. Fernando Mendoza has been great this year. He's a Heisman hopeful himself, as well as Dante Moore. But I think it's a testament to, hey, this offensive line and this defensive line is negating what these skill position players are capable of doing, capable of contributing to the game. And I think that that's on coaching. So a huge prop to Kurt Signetti. We're gonna give a little shout out to Pat McAfee here on College Game Day. Hoosiers, hoo. Um, but it was a great game. This isn't a knock on Oregon or Dan Lanning, but I think Kurt Signetti and the boys in Indiana really arrived, and that was their coming out party. They weren't able to get the big wins against Ohio State and Notre Dame last year, but I think hey, that's the signature win of Indiana and Kurt Signetti's career. And I'm looking forward to see what they're able to do next. I don't know if they play Ohio State later in the year. I don't think we have to worry about Penn State if they play them. And boy, oh boy, are we going to get into that later. Um, but it's certainly a huge accomplishment for the Indiana Hoosiers. Absolutely.
It's funny that you mentioned. You said, I don't know if Fernando Mendoza is the better quarterback, right? Or maybe does Oregon have better skill position players? When you look on paper, yeah, it's like Oregon, they're always up in the mix. They always get really high recruits, one of the top classes every year. But what does that number one say about Indiana? Growing from a 3-win program, right? Um, with Kurt Signetti coming in, but also kind of doing it without all that extra talent, right? Without all the extra NIL yet. They're gonna start getting a lot better recruits now. If Signetti stays there, I don't know why he would leave. Um, and part of it is they can have all the better players you want on this side. You can have all the talent on this side. Who wants it more, right? And we'll talk about Penn State. But Penn State is a huge example of this. Great recruits every year. Drew Aller, number one QB, Nick Singleton, number one running back in the same class. And it's how much can you play together, right? So you have programs that you can have all the 5 stars you want. Alabama used to have them sitting on the bench, right? But who wants it more, right? And clearly, this Indiana team, I mean, they just want it more, and I think that's uh, the sauce that Kurt Signetti is bringing right now in his secret little game plan, and it's working. So yeah, I don't know. Part of me wants Indiana just like keep cruising, right? I have a feeling somewhere along the way there's gonna be a bump. There has to be. I don't know. They look like a complete football program right now. They've also put BTA on multiple teams, including Power Five teams. So Power Four. So I don't know. I want to see them carry on. We'll see what they can do, but they are definitely going to be in the playoffs. I would imagine so.
Absolutely. We talked about a Heisman hopeful. We talked about, playing well in the trenches, all that kind of stuff. Let's go move over to Alabama Mizzou, one of the other top 25 matchups this week. Mizzou unbeaten. Alabama, obviously, the one blemish on the record against Florida State in week one. We talked about the Heisman hopeful. Ty Simpson is my number one Heisman candidate as of right now. Threw for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, led the Tide to a 27-24 victory against the formerly unbeaten Missouri Tigers. Brody, let's hear what you got to say about it.
Yeah. So obviously last week on last week's episode, I picked Missouri to win this game. Um, I'm not mad about it, right? They lost 3 points. It is a
Who did I pick?
Oh, yeah, like you had any trouble picking
No,
the
no, no,
higher
no.
ranked team. Yeah, congrats. You picked Alabama. All right, bud. Hey, all I'm going to say is Missouri's a good team.
I'm sorry I had the courage to stick to my guns while you
Oh
were
my!
going out on a
I told you.
limb.
Hey, I said Alabama's probably going to win, but I want number one. I wanted Missouri to win, but I
And
think
now we're changing the
no,
story.
no. Hey,
Now we're changing the story.
okay. Truly, yes, I did. I stuck with Missouri. I thought they had a chance though, and you know what? They probably would have won this game if Bo Prabula had just stuck to his guns, right? Part of it is Bo Prabula is a deadly runner, right? He can use his legs. He's got a great arm, but he missed a couple of throws that were really important, really big time interception. And Bo Prabula, by the way, would be leading Penn State to an undefeated season right now. I would believe that if he had stuck with them, but they stuck with Drew Aller. So, anyways, Bo Prabula, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 167 yards. You could probably hear Franco's pretty upset about that in the background. Yeah, he's not an Alabama fan. Anyways, the rushing attack was not there. Hardy only had 50 something yards, didn't get it done on the ground, and that's been one of the leading rushers in the FBS so far. And serious talent, right, in this backfield. There's serious talent all over the Missouri team. So I think that just makes it even more impressive what Alabama was able to do, right? We've seen Alabama able to hold teams off for multiple games so far. We've been able to hold them off for Georgia. They didn't score in the second half, but they were able to hold them off. So I think you're right. Ty Simpson did what he needed to do to win this game, right? 3 touchdowns, that's a nice little addition. 200 yards, pretty conservative for Ty Simpson for college football, especially at Alabama. But it got the win, right? Doesn't matter. They got what they needed to do. He looks like an awesome quarterback. He's managing all of their games. So I don't know. They just need to keep doing what they're doing. And Alabama is now number 6 in the AP poll. I do think it's a little crazy how they beat Missouri by 3. They have the same record, and Missouri's 16. But once again, rankings don't really matter. So I do think hopefully Missouri and Alabama will be in the playoffs this year. I think there's going to be a lot of SEC teams in this race this year. It seems to be folding out that way. Don't you think, Alex?
Yeah, probably. Florida will not be one of them. Just wanted to throw a little shade at them.
No, but
DJ Lagway,
they might be the culprit for Texas not being in the playoffs.
That's probably true. Texas, our next game we're going to talk to, got a big win against Oklahoma that might save their chances. Touching back on Alabama, Mizzou. College football, obviously, more offensive than the pros. But you look at a 27-24 score, you think 51 points, that's still a pretty hefty scoring game. This game was surprisingly defensive. You think about how the second half opened up and how the game ended. Second half opened up scoop and score for the Tigers. Game ends on an interception. It was a real physical game. It was a really physical game. Alabama actually was on the ropes numerous times. Ty Simpson made the throws when he needed to make them. I believe one of his wide receivers, the true freshman, maybe the redshirt, got some big catches when they needed them. 4th down, 4th and 8, really awkward situations, and Alabama came through when they needed to. And I think that's the hallmark. I don't even know how I would describe this. I mean, the pedigree of an elite team. Getting things done when they need to be done. So I'll say It's a true round of applause to Alabama and how they played. Obviously, Mizzou's a lot better than I think a lot of people thought. I think everybody thinks Alabama, Mizzou. Everybody. That's always kind of been how it's. I think about the last time I thought about Mizzou, outside of the last couple of years, but they've never really been competitive, despite being ranked. Um, was when they had Kelly Bryant, and I'm like, Kelly Bryant. Clemson brought in Trevor Lawrence, and Kelly Bryant gets kicked out. Well, Kelly Bryant's going to lead the SEC and the Mizzou Tigers to the top of the mountain, and then they stunk the joint up. So, I don't think a lot of people give Mizzou the credit that they deserve, myself included. But they showed out really well. They proved that, hey, we can hang. And if Alabama is the top of the mountain still in some respects, that, hey, maybe we're at the top of the mountain right now. And I think at this point in college football, and this is it's weird because NIL to me ruined it. There's never been so much transparency. Everybody, or no, never been so much parity, excuse me. I think a lot of teams could beat a lot of teams. You think about the fact that Texas was lackluster in their opening performance against Ohio State. Ohio State didn't blow them out. And I don't know exactly who Ohio State's played against that's been good since then. They played Illinois this past week. They won 34-16. But we look at what Indiana did against Illinois, and I know that we shouldn't be doing that, but I think about the fact that Indiana beat Illinois by 52. Okay, so I think about Ohio State might not be number one. Brody and I have had the conversation about not believing in ACC football, and that will not make my roots at home happy. But ACC football is far from what it used to be. Okay, it was a fall from grace. It used to be a top tier conference, and it's just not anymore. Indiana's three. I think you have a point that Indiana could be one. Oregon was able hung with Indiana for a while. Oregon's good. Bama's good. I think that was genuinely just an upset to lose to Florida State because Florida State obviously has since lost 3 games on the year now. There's a ton of parity. I have no idea who the best team is. And do you have anything to add to that, or do you want to get to OU Texas?
Yeah, real quick. I think number one, Eli Drinkowitz is a great coach. He's come in and made that Missouri program a football program. They were the laughing stock along with Vanderbilt of the SEC. Both teams now ranked, looking really competitive. There's still that one step right that they need to take forward. But like considering that Missouri, like I said, honestly has never been thought of as an SEC team because they joined late. They're nowhere near where the SEC teams are. Kind of like WVU with the Big 12, but they come in and they've started to make a name for themselves, right? You get somebody like Drinkowitz who comes in, he gets the transfers, right? He gets the recruits. Now, that's a program that's going to continue to grow. If they end on this trajectory of this season where I think they could go, what's coming next, right? That is if Drinkowitz doesn't leave for another coaching position, which I know he's been linked to a couple. I don't know why he would. I wouldn't leave a team. You've built something there. There's a special culture going on there. People want to like Missouri, so they just need to take that next step. But I think Eli Drinkowitz is a great coach, and I loved what you said about how that's the difference between college and pros, right? Anything can happen. It's anybody's game. There's a point where it's like my guys are bigger than your guys, right? You just don't have the talent that I have. But you know what? Some people don't have the will. Some people they don't have the grit. They don't have the drive, the leadership to do these things. And that's something that Alabama gets done, right? That's something that Alabama week 1 they didn't want it. They didn't want it more than Florida State. Florida State had circled that on their calendar for weeks, right, months, knowing that was going to be the game to really set themselves on a map. Since then, they've fallen off, right? But they will always have the claim that they beat Week 1 Alabama, who is right now looking like a legit championship contender team. So it's the culture. There's a lot of things that have to do with it, but I try to make sense of it all the time. I'm like, okay, as an LSU fan, we lose to Ole Miss. Ole Miss almost gets beat by an unranked Washington State this week. Therefore, I'm like, so we're a better team, right? And then I try to make sense of it, and I'm like, okay, well, if we beat Vanderbilt this next week, Vanderbilt lost to Alabama, okay, and then I see, okay, wait, so Florida State lost to UVA. It's just like you try to like map it out in your head, and none of it makes sense.
Ipso facto, University of Central Wesleyan Baptist Presbyterian should be ranked number 1.
Yes, Tallahassee School for the Blind and Deaf, number 1. It's just you can't make sense out of it. That's the greatest thing about football. Obviously, there's some NFL matchups as well this week that we can get to that had the same effect, right? Now it's a little bit more of a a dynasty that you build, a little bit more of you have these guys for 10 years on your roster. It's not like a 2 3 year kind of thing at college, but it's really just like who wants it more, and that's what I love about college football. So yeah, we'll keep going, Alex.
Yeah, so we touched on Alabama, Mizzou, IU, Oregon. Let's get a little bit into OU, Texas. Oklahoma, Texas. John Mateer versus Arch Manning. Obviously, Arch Manning having played not up to his pedigree as of recent, goes into the sixth ranked matchup against Oklahoma. I believe this was at Texas.
Yeah, well, it's located in Texas. It's at the Rose Bowl or the Cotton Bowl Stadium. It's
So this was a neutral site.
it's a neutral site, so they have to. I'm pretty sure they have to sell like half and half the stadium, but it is in Texas. So
Yeah. And Texas and the boys showed up. Longhorns, they did their job, and it wasn't particularly close in the second half. Obviously, really defensive matchup, by the way. Oklahoma and Texas both struggled in the first half, getting the ball downfield. Obviously, lots of pressure, lots of good pass coverages in the back end by the secondary for both squads. And then second half opened up, and Texas is able to get the job done. Arch makes some good plays. Good for him. We've been talking about how he's been struggling. So many other people in the world of media. Not to say that we're media quite yet, but have been very critical of his performances as of late. And Texas gets the job done, Brody. Let's hear what you got.
yeah, so this was a really exciting matchup. Obviously, John Mateer coming back from surgery 17 days. After that surgery, he comes back and plays a game. I thought that was a terrible idea. And it shows. They rushed him back. He throws 3 interceptions, 20 of 38, 202 yards. Not his kind of day, right? Something that now makes him look, foolish. Not really him, but it makes the decision to start him look kind of foolish. You've got your Oklahoma. You got somebody else on the bench that can get the job done, right? Mateer is a transfer from Washington State coming in. He's been awesome this year, but really you're going to try to now you just made him look stupid. You ruined a little bit of his Heisman chances. Not that that's the only important thing that happens, right? But it's obviously a big thing for the program. So just not a good look for him. I felt bad. He was getting pressured all over the place. He made a couple great throws and a couple not great throws with those 3 interceptions, almost 4. One of them was just dropped. And then on the other side, we have Arch Manning. He did what he needed to do. 21 of 27, 166 yards and a touchdown. A little bit of rushing on the ground, 34 yards. Not phenomenal by any stance. There's nobody that's going to look at that and go, yep, that's my Heisman. But, after a huge loss that got them unranked coming into this matchup, everybody's picking Oklahoma. They showed up, and Texas is now back in the rankings. Arch Manning did what he needed to do. This is not going to be his last shootout here. I believe he's going to come back for one more. It's just a great matchup overall, and kind of boring at first. Not boring.
No, it was.
Yeah.
We don't need to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, you're right. It was boring. We're watching 2 top offenses, kick field goals and trade, 3 and outs.
Punts.
So, yeah, punts and 3 and outs and a couple of field goals. So, and
I don't know if you've seen the new Simpsons clip, by the way. They got Scott Hansen to come do a Simpsons Homer's watching the television, and it's Homer watching the punt zone, okay, and it's Scott Hansen going, "Welcome back to punt zone, where we only show our punts," and then they go, "Oh, 4th and long for Miami here. Oh no, it's a fake. It's a fake. Turn the TV away. Turn the TV away." That was it. I mean, punt zone could have been OU Texas. It really could have. Sorry, continue.
No, you're. You know what? They should start that. Let's give the punter some love, man. Give him some love. Throw back to when Caleb Williams said what Torrey Taylor would be.
We're not going to be punting that much.
Yeah, we're not going to be punting that much. And since then, he has punted the absolute most in the league. But a lot better this year. So, anyways, I don't really have anything more to say than I just think Oklahoma is a huge letdown on their season. They'll be fine. Mateer's gonna bounce back, but this sucks, right? If I'm an Oklahoma fan, I'm like, this stinks. We rushed our quarterback back for no reason, and you lose to an unranked Texas team who has looked horrible. Right, unless it's against Sam Houston and their national title contenders. This is a chance for Texas to bounce back. Now, Alex, do you seriously think? I think Oklahoma will be fine down the stretch, but I don't think they're going to be competing for a national championship now. Do you think Texas will try to make their way back to the playoff,
Oh, they'll
conversation.
try. I'll say if they finish out the season undefeated, which is a tall ask, I think they will make it. And that's simply because of the parity conversation we had earlier. I think there's so many teams that will lose because I don't think there's anybody miles ahead of anybody else. Okay? I think Ole Miss, despite being as highly ranked as they are capable of losing and losing at the wrong time. If you're ranked sixth and you lose to an unranked team, and Texas is ranked 14th, they're going to slide up. I don't know if Ole Miss is going to get the benefit of the doubt, but with staying 7 spots from their original spot after losing to an unranked team, had they lost to Wazoo, you're looking at Ole Miss falling to like 18 from 4. Um, and you think about that with all of the teams, I don't think Miami's going to make the playoff more likely than not. I don't think Miami's a playoff team. I think Miami gets wiped. I think they get absolutely sauced. Um, but like, there's so many teams that are just fringe teams to me. And if Texas can play well enough, and Arch can command that locker room and be the captain that we both think he's capable of being and lead that group, I think Texas has the ability to be in the playoff. And if they come in undefeated after having lost to who did they lose to?
Who are we looking at?
Texas. Who did they lose to?
Oh, Florida.
Florida. Thank you. After having lost to Florida, you'll think that, hey, Arch has got his confidence back. Those boys will have had to have been playing really well together. They're gonna have all the momentum in the world. Okay, I would hate to be the fifth ranked team having to play them. I'd hate it if they ended up getting ranked 12th. So I wouldn't write it out. I'd say it's probably about if we're gonna do some fractions and percentages, we're looking at maybe like a 14 and 14.6% chance.
Yeah, I think it is tough, and you talk about the drop off between teams. I agree with you wholeheartedly on Miami. I don't I don't see it. Now they've deserved where they are right now because they're unbeaten. They look really good. I'm not going to say that they're a national championship contender. I honestly, if you told me to pick out two teams right now that are going to complete the national championship, I don't know if I could. I could say Alabama maybe. They just beat. They barely, and I say barely beat. It's still a win, but they barely beat Georgia and they barely beat Missouri. Two great teams, but do we really think Missouri and Georgia are championship contenders? And then you look at somebody like Oklahoma, who has looked great so far, and they pulled out a really tight win against Michigan. And where is Michigan now? Unranked. So once again, you can't compare, which is why it gives us zero idea of who actually might be the best team in the country. But that's why I am at the moment thankful for the 12-team playoff. It should never be more than 12 teams, and I will be so furious when it does eventually go more than 12. Yeah, you don't need more than 12. It's perfect, right? That gives you something to fight for. We're seeing how great this currently is because it's like, okay, Texas, okay, they lost 2 games. Guess what? Now they're trying to hunt their way back, right? Maybe they can, right? And then there's teams that have like, yep, you're out. You lost your Florida State. They're not coming back. There's no way they come back. Even if they go undefeated, they've just had a bad look, right? They've had really, really bad losses on their roster or on their schedule from what they started, right? So I don't know. I just think it's kind of hard, but I do agree. I think Miami's a little overrated. I don't think Carson Beck is great. I think everybody's like, Carson Beck's back. He can play quarterback again. I think he's more confident for sure. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think he's, I don't think he's really an NFL talent right now for, my scouting eyes in the NFL. So I don't know. Yeah, but it's really interesting that you bring that up, and I like that point about how anybody can beat anybody. So go ahead and move us on to our next topic, Alex.
Yeah, I'm just gonna touch on one last thing real quick. I
Yeah,
think Georgia fans are can sleep happier with one loss with Gunnar Stockton than they would being undefeated with Carson Beck. That's all I've got to say. I
I
think
agree.
that's
Hey,
an idea of how we feel about Carson Beck. Go
I
ahead.
gotta say, Gunner he's a player. He's a football
He
player,
is.
man. I don't think Georgia is up to their level of where they have been in the past. But they do have a guy at quarterback that gets the job done. We talked about this in the past. He comes up in those clutch moments, something Carson Beck couldn't do. I don't know what was going on with Carson Beck. Injuries, just not good team chemistry. We saw the leaked Snapchats. There's a lot of things affecting him, and
You
he's
know what it
trying.
could be?
What's
Not
that?
enough Latinas in Georgia. Not enough Latinas in
He's
Athens.
he's probably getting more than he can handle in Miami, and he's trying to get his aura back. So
Uh,
it's working so
he's
far.
he's a bad hermano.
All right, man. Hey, let's move on. What do you say?
All right, let's do it. We teased it earlier, Brody. I'm not even gonna tell you what it is because I know you know what it is. We're talking to each other pathologically right now.
Hmm.
Do you wanna? And we don't wish bad news on anybody. And this is bad news, and we are sorry. But when we feel the that our takes are correct, which we mentioned last week, we have a sense of pride in those takes. It's like a child. So Brody, what am I pathologically telling you right now?
Oh, I don't know, man. I think honestly in my head right now, we're having a party. Me and you were sitting down. We're getting some steaks on the grill. A
Mm.
couple of cold ones. I'm tossing you one. It's like one of those slow movie monologues, and one of those scenes where wouldn't it be nice if
If
we were?
we were
Yeah,
older,
and I'm
then we wouldn't.
I got the grill, I'm flipping some burgers, and we're smiling like a TV intro. And then we look on the TV, and James Franklin's fired, and we go, and everybody starts celebrating. A big confetti party comes down on us, and we're happy, man. Life is good. So yeah, so James Franklin, he's out. And me and Alex, number one, we've been talking about this for weeks, so feels great to have that happen. But also, we want to talk about it because we both, as soon as it happened, I texted Alex, and we both agreed. I think this is a little premature. And I think Penn State, obviously their season's over, and obviously terrible news for Drew Aller. He will likely never play a snap for Penn State again. Really sad, not good for his career. I hope he finds success at the next level, or if he's maybe able to transfer somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see. But really bad that he ended his season and they lose to Northwestern. So my thoughts about this. I'm kind of happy James Franklin's gone, because as I am, not the biggest fan. It doesn't even matter about that. It matters about how Penn State is a good football program. He has brought them a long way. But even when I'm not a Penn State fan, I am sick of watching him lose big games. I'm sick of them being hyped up every year. All to do what? At the end of the day, it's like there's nothing to show for it. So for James Franklin, I'm going to go ahead and read some stats real quick that maybe will prove his firing. So his record against top 10 teams is 4-21. So everybody that he's played in his career that has been in the top 10, he has won 4 games out of 25 matchups. That's terrible. I mean, I that's really bad. It gets worse. He's 1-18 against top 10 Big Ten teams. So the Big Ten, whoever he has played with Penn State, who's been in the top 10, ranked at the time, he's won one of those games. I don't know where you draw the line, right? And obviously they drew the line. But that is crazy. He has an overall record versus ranked teams overall, somewhere around 15-28. I've seen some varying numbers on that, but we're just going to roll with 15-28. That's terrible. You win, half of your, you've only won half of those. I don't know. It gets so bad. And then obviously 4-21 against top 10 ranked teams, 1-18 against Big Ten ranked teams, and then against top 5 teams. Alex, you want to give me that number?
How many games? Out of how many games?
16 total games.
0 wins. It's 0-1. Yeah.
He's got one. He's got one win against the top 5 team. And we are talking about these programs left and right. Each episode, we're talking about Virginia knocking off Florida State. We're talking about all these teams doing this. But Penn State can't. It's one of those things. And that's just a little something on James Franklin's record. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he is a good coach, right? We've seen that. He's built that program from a long way. And they really had to recover from a lot of the things that went on at Penn State that, has been talked about over the years. So, first of all, I do think this is premature, though. As much as I think they need to change at coach, mid-season, I don't get it. You do the buyout mid-season. Now you're going to have an interim head coach. Maybe they're trying to spark a little life. I don't know. It could be something because maybe they read UCLA's playbook and said, yep, we're going to do that. but I think it number one, it hurts you. All your recruits are gone, right? Maybe maybe it helps them a little bit because they know that they're leaving earlier, right? They can work on the next recruiting class, work on the coaching search, but the whole season's screwed now. I think it already was, but it's like double screwed now. Um, and it's kind of sad, even as not a Penn State fan, he's been there for quite a while now, and it's kind of a weird change. And I don't know what Penn State looks like, right? This is going to significantly hurt them. This is going to significantly reset all of their success. But it's something that Texas A&M did. They had Jimbo's $76 million buyout, which is outrageous. James Franklin's the second largest since then at like $57 million. So I think there it's something where it's like 54 or something. No, Norvell's is 60 something.
I know Norvell's the second highest.
No. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, James Franklin's the second largest buyout that has happened. Like they've actually,
Okay.
yeah. Norvell's is like, dude, it's like 63, 64.
I thought he got fired for some reason.
No,
He got
he's
fired
still there.
last year.
He's still there. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but they beat Alabama. They did beat Alabama.
They're 3-3 now, so
Tough. Tommy Castellanos. Yikes. Anyways, yeah, so we talked about it. It's just tough, man. It sucks for Penn State. It's going to be a rough ride back. The Mountaineers fans can finally sympathize on the same level as Penn State right now. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the club. You're going to hire a coach that's going to try and bring over transfers from, a not great, Power 4 program, and you're gonna have to do a whole season of that until you rebuild it back. So, Alex, let me hear your rejoicing on this.
yeah, very premature firing. Deserved, sure. Is it premature? Still, sure. Absolutely. And I think Brody covered everything that I want to talk about, but I'm going to mention one thing. And there's a broadcaster and he has a podcast as well, or a television show, one of the two. His name's Joel Klatt. He's a part of Fox Sports. I respect him very much. I think he's a very well-educated college football analyst. And he said, who's going to fill the shoes of James Franklin? Brody obviously gave us a really perfect rundown of his tenure and how all of that encapsulated itself. He named a handful of guys, named Brian Hartline, an assistant at Ohio State. I don't know. I know a lot of Ohio State fans really don't want that to happen, so I think that's a credit to how well he's done at that school. But one I hear a lot is Kurt Cignetti, and we talked about him earlier. We talked about how coaching is this big thing. Now, I know money talks, okay? Brody and I both know, obviously. I don't I don't know how much money I would need to go from the perfect situation where I am writing the best story that I could ever write in going to Indiana, coming from a non-Power 5 school in JMU, bringing these lower level recruits to my, hey, we're in the Big Ten now, and dominating. I don't know if there's a story I could write better than that. It's very Rudy-esque. So I don't understand why Kurt Cignetti would ever want to go. Obviously, I understand that Penn State. Joel Klatt mentions that that's Penn State's wish list, so it's not any discredit towards him. But that sentiment that I've seen on Twitter and on my timeline that, hey, go get Kurt Cignetti. I don't know why anybody would ever want that. That check better start with 9 figures. It better start with 9 figures. It's like I think Penn State fans have found themselves to be delusional now, thinking that they are better than they are, kind of like how they thought they were when they were with James Franklin, and it's kind of bitten them in the tush. So I don't know. It's definitely a catch-22, but
Yeah, I agree. It's like we talked about, Kurt Cignetti. Look him up, dude. He wins, and building something which what he has at Indiana, carrying that over to Penn State, even if he brought his entire Indiana team with him, it's like, okay, but you've built a following in Indiana now, right? You want to be known as the guy who switches
that
to the other Big Ten team,
it's a trade. It's a traitorous move.
right? That's like
Yeah.
if Brian Kelly went. Now Notre Dame's a little different because they're not in a conference,
Well,
but they
think about how Brian Kelly got so much hatred for it, and
For
I am at the top of the list. I hate Brian Kelly, and it sucks that Brian Kelly is the coach of LSU, because I will, if my teams aren't doing good, I will vicariously live through Brody's dreams and root for LSU. Do I really care that much? Not really, but I'll try and support my friend. I hate Brian Kelly, and the way he left Notre Dame, okay, is so low class. And I think of like, I don't know why Coach Signetti would ever in a million years do that, unless I'm getting $600 million. Okay,
Yeah.
it's just sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off,
no.
but
I mean
continue.
no, that's perfect. And look at Brian Kelly's situation. It's perfect because look how much he got for going to a program that's completely different from Notre Dame. Like totally on the opposite end of the spectrum, different programs, different sides of the US. However, he got so much hate because, obviously the way he left, people already hate Brian Kelly and then he goes to another big program. Think about if Signetti left Indiana and went to Penn State. The rivalry in the Big Ten that would be horrible. And like I said, he would just be starting over somewhere. So he's smarter than that. He's not going to go there. At the end of the day, I think Matt Rule, former Panthers coach,
Nebraska head
I
coach
think
right
he,
now.
yeah, I think he wants to go there, and that would be a Big Ten foe. But it's Nebraska, and they're building their way up, but they're not there yet.
They're
They're
5-1 and they're ranked
they
now.
are. They are. And they're not like he hasn't set his precedent like Signetti has. Now he's a good coach, and Matt Rule, obviously we talked about in the past being with Baylor, going to the NFL. Not
Temple.
yeah, Temple, not quite working out with NFL, coming back to college. Great college coach though. He knows what he's doing. I don't even see why he would leave. Right? He's got a good thing going at Nebraska. So once you said money talks. And as an LSU fan, I'm not a fan of Brian Kelly. It's hard, right? Because Alex, my friend, he's HBO man. Help a brother out. He helps LSU, helps root him on whenever they might be down. I might need that extra shoulder to lay on. But it's hard because like you want to like LSU, but you look at the head coach and I support him, right? He's the head coach, and I think there's moments where it's like, yeah, okay, cool. And then there's other moments where he's cussing and throwing fits on the sideline, and I'm like, you're doing nothing right now. You are absolutely doing nothing but throwing a fit right now. Yelling at Garrett Nussmeier is not going to help him throw the ball better. Um, so I don't know. The winningest current active college football coach, and it's kind of hard to believe. It's just like there's a lot of wins on there. How many of them are big games? So he had a little bit of the James Franklin disease going on, but as we know, Notre Dame always gets a pass. No shade to Notre Dame; it's a great college, but
Nope, shade.
yeah,
Shade.
they.
I love Marcus Freeman.
Oh, he's
Okay,
great.
so no
He's
shade to
awesome.
him. Love that guy. Crispiest hairline I've ever seen in my life. But Brian Kelly's Notre Dame team can evaporate, blow up to dust, smithereens.
Do you remember when he said he's going to execute the entire team?
Yeah, do you remember when he got to LSU and all of a sudden he was a Southern boy?
Yeah, yeah, and he was
Here,
dancing with our
here, here.
recruits.
This is we're gonna do. I like these interviews. For any new viewers, which I know there aren't, but for any new viewers, we're just gonna give you a brief rundown. Brody and I do like to do interview interpretations quite a bit. So Brody, interview me as a Notre Dame head coach, Brian Kelly here, if you don't mind.
Hey, Brian. So you've got a great thing going on here at Notre Dame. Great prestigious program. Tell me what it's like in the locker room, and how you continue that legacy that Notre Dame carries.
Yeah, I love my boys, and Lou Holtz really left a good tradition for me, and I think this is the place I want to be. We have an exclusive deal with NBC. We're gonna get a lot of money. We're gonna be able to afford some good players. My AD is treating me well, treating the players well, and yeah. Okay,
Wait,
now
wait. Breaking news. Brian Kelly has just signed a multi-million-dollar, unfathomably large contract with LSU. I actually have him right now, and he's now wearing an LSU polo. Brian, hey, how's it going? How are you feeling about the move to Louisiana? It's a lot different than it is in Notre Dame, huh?
hey there, boy. I'm Brian Kelly in LSU, boy. I feel good. Lou Holtz didn't do anything for me in Notre Dame, South Bend, but I feel good in Louisiana. I love me some gumbo. My mama, when she used to put my drawers on for me in the morning, 'cause I was a little bit of a chubster when I was growing up, golly, I just felt so at home, and it happened to be in North Dakota, which hey, that's the south of the North. So I've never felt more home in Louisiana, baby.
Nice,
Go
yeah,
Tigers!
yeah. Hey, go Tigers. Hey, Brian. So we're off the air now. So did everything go well with that?
Yeah. It was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
There we go. So thank you, Alex. Yeah, it's hard. You got to do what you got to do, but Brian Kelly's got the big game syndrome too. Now he's been able to win a few of those at LSU so far, but we also had a championship offense with Jaden Daniels and the worst defense in the entire CFB. So,
And now
um,
all of a sudden the defense is great, and you've got a top quarterback with Garrett Nussmeier, and we just don't know how to play. Don't know how to scheme up a run play, a pass play, anything. Play action looks foreign to these players.
so
I'm being
bad.
so serious.
Dude, it's and our defense is like actually really good.
I know.
It's the fewest points LSU defense has let up in the first 6 games since 2007.
It's like
That's better than the 2011 team that made the national championship with Honey Badger and Patrick Peterson. So
Grant Delpit, Derek Stingley, Patrick Queen are reincarnated, but they forgot to bring Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and
yep,
Jamar Chase. I love how I said Jamar Chase last, not like he's the best player out of that entire bunch. Anyways, so talked about some college coach, a college coach getting fired. Excuse me. Let's talk about an NFL coach. We're gonna go a little bit out of order here. Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans. See ya.
bye
Get him
bye.
out.
He's out of here.
Obviously not an impressive tenure with the Titans. Bit of a short leash, but the Tennessee Titans were an uncompetitive bunch, and I think that was stunting Cam Ward's development. Albeit, I don't think there's much to develop, but that's just an Alex opinion. I don't know if Brody shares the same opinion as Alex, but I think it's a short leash for him. But you don't get the job done in the NFL, you're gonna get the boot, and Brian Callahan got the boot after a season and a half in Nashville, Tennessee. What do we got here, Brody?
Yeah, I think really importantly, NFL is a different game than college. So college, it takes years to recruit, right? It takes a while. So like Rich Rod at WVU is going to get a lot of excuses, right? Loses an entire roster. He's going to get this season doesn't matter for Rich Rod, which sucks. He's going to get probably a year or two more to really like try and build up the program. That doesn't happen in the NFL. You aren't getting high school recruits. You're getting experienced ball players from conferences like the SEC, Big Ten, ACC. You're getting guys that like know how to do things. They are now men, and they're getting paid millions of dollars. So when you have a 4-19 record to start your career, see ya. There's not really anything else to say with that. I do think Cam Ward is a guy that I honestly loved coming out of college. I think he looked great at Miami. I think, yeah, he looks not good now. Saw a play of him recently. I don't know if everybody saw this. We'll put this up here. Drops back to throw, does a little pat, which everybody's clowning Shitterer for. Pats the ball. It literally just flies out of his hand backwards. It's the dumbest looking play I've ever seen. He's losing so much. Everything about him is just getting drained down the garbage disposal in Tennessee. So they need to flip that around, and they don't need to stunt his growth. Alex, what's up?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you my scouting grade, okay? Actually, how I scout a quarterback. And really, it's not scouting, it's just watching the television. And you don't need to watch film to do this. Just watch a couple of games, see how well of a thrower they are, okay? And more importantly, how many interceptions do they have? How do they play in games where they don't play well? How do they play in games where they should win by 1,000,000,000,000, okay? I think about this game. Virginia Tech fan here, obviously go Hokies. I watched Mitch Trubisky play Virginia Tech in, 4 BC, okay? It was a millennia ago, okay? And Mitch Trubisky looked atrocious. And I love Mitch Trubisky. Absolutely class guy. He's really a good guy. But you look at that game against Virginia Tech, a former Pittsburgh Steeler, Brody, is not keen on him.
Wouldn't say class, but yeah.
I watched that game, and I go, what was this? Why is he the number 2 overall pick? That is terrible. And so I'm thinking, I see that he gets picked number 2 overall. I wasn't like super big on the draft back then. I didn't get until I got to like my senior year of high school and like college. I wasn't like super big on the draft. I got to the draft and I looked back. I was like, why did he go 2? Why? Truthfully, why did he go 2? And so I think, candidly, what I like to look at for the quarterbacks that I'm drafting, if you can keep your interceptions under 6 for a season, or under 7 if you play a 14-game season, I like half an interception or less per game. And I think that shows good processing and good decision making to go to the NFL. If you're throwing too many interceptions, that's not like everybody's got to be below that or they're going to be terrible kind of number. But That's just I just don't see how we're looking at Cam Ward and going
Yeah,
future.
part of
That's
it,
my future.
part of it is great offense at Miami. Part of the thing that I thought he could be good. Well, first of all, I thought Miami was overrated the entire season, as did a lot of people. But part of it is because their defense stunk, and they had a good offense. But the offensive line was really good. Gave Cam Ward was really comfortable in the pocket the whole year. He didn't really have to move a whole lot. Now he can move, but part of that was kind of scary. I was like, okay, let's just say I'm a Steelers fan. So if the Steelers draft Cam Ward, somehow, we get the first pick, we go up to draft, somehow he falls. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is he even going to be good with a bad offense? He looked great in college, but it's one thing where, like, I look at Joe Burrow. Watching Joe Burrow, great offensive line, great everything around him, but you saw the footwork that Joe Burrow had. You saw the pocket presence, unlike any other college quarterback I've ever seen. He pro ready. Cam Ward, obviously there's the viral clip of him literally standing in the backfield and not even moving to throw a pass, just his arm. I'm kind of like, okay, he's got a cool feel about him, right? He seems cool and comfortable and a hard worker, right? But he seems lazy, and he seems like he doesn't know what it is to work really hard to get there, which he did work really hard. He got to Miami after being at Washington State. He had a long journey, and wasn't even at D1 or wasn't even in the FBS at one point in his career. So he worked a long way to get there. And I feel like now he's gotten to this point where, he thought he was going to come in and do this whole thing. And I'm like, remember, dude, you're on the Titans. You can't do a whole lot on the Titans. So that's where, back to Callahan being fired, he has to get fired at this point. You're just hurting your quarterback. I do think Cam Ward can still be a good NFL quarterback. He's not helped himself. It's not on the coach, all on the coach. He's not helped himself. He's not played like the number one pick, right? And the past few number one picks have been dog water. So, I don't know. The stunning the growth of the quarterback is one of the worst things. And I have to say real quick, Kenny Pickett, his last year of college, looked phenomenal. He looked great in most all of his games. There wasn't really a game where I was like, he looked kind of bad. I remember there was a close game against UVA that year because I'm watching him pretty close. I'm like, this is a guy the Steelers could get, right? It was probably one of his worst games of the year, but he still led him back to a comeback. The fall off between senior year Kenny Pickett, fifth year Kenny Pickett, and first year Steelers, even second year Steelers, needs to be studied. It's not just Jordan Addison. People try to make that argument all the time. No, he looked great. He looked comfortable. The fall off from Kenny Pickett from college to NFL needs to be studied. It's probably the 4 previous years of him doing absolutely nothing that is the big red flag. But he played great. I mean, look at Joe Burrow, right? He played pretty well his first year at LSU, and then he comes out and he's a whole other monster, right? I don't know what the heck happened. And one more thing. I just want to touch on who the Bears could have drafted, just in case our listeners need a reminder.
The Bears?
The Bears, who they could have drafted instead of Mitchell Trubisky. I'm just going to go over some players that had
this draft is loaded.
It is. I'm going to go over a few picks that could have had a pretty good impact with Chicago at the time. Leonard Fournette, Jamal Adams, Mike Williams, Christian McCaffrey, John Ross, not so much. Patrick Mahomes. Now here's a guy. Okay, Marshawn Lattimore, Deshaun Watson, Hassan Reddick, Malik Hooker, Marlon Humphrey, Jonathan Allen. Dude, this is an insane draft. Even Evan Ingram, who started slow with the Giants, he's found his way. There's just guys over here. Oh,
who went 32?
Who went 30? Do you remember?
What team?
TJ Watt.
Could you tell? Why don't you tell me the team?
Okay.
I wanna feel.
Here you go. Who went number 32? The team
it's the Ravens, right?
No, it was the Saints this year. He's an offensive tackle. This one's really hard.
Ryan Ramczyk.
There you go. All right, how about I'm not going to tell you the position. San Francisco picked 31. This is an unfortunate pick, I'll give you that. It's a bad
pick?
No, it could have been great. The player ruined his career.
What year is this again?
2017.
Is this Reuben Foster?
It is. Yes, the Reuben Missile Crisis, as they used to call him. He ruined his own career. He was a dog, though. He got into some illegal things. I don't know.
Do you remember Junior Gillette? What a name.
Junior Gillette. What team was that?
Saints.
That's honestly not ringing a bell.
Okay, never mind.
Junior Gillette.
He's a good player. You know what's funny, bro? We haven't even touched baseball. We haven't even touched NFL.
I know.
We're at an hour.
I know. We'll cut some of this out. That's Junior Gillette. Bro. Let's see where he
This is a good conversation, though.
It is. Do you know where Junior Gillette went to college?
No. Bama?
Temple. What the? Anyways.
Is he a Pro Bowler? Did you see it?
Let's see.
Really? Okay. Now I feel like a big dumb idiot.
He had a 12 sack season and a 10 sack season, 2 safeties in a year, but he only played. He took a 3-year gap from 2014 to 2017. He only played 6 years total. Interesting. Russell Westbrook, is that actually real?
Yeah, to the Kings.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Starting two podcasts. Russ to the Kings. He's getting passed around like a
Sacramento.
blunt. He's getting passed around like a blunt, man. Um, Tre'Davious White, David Njoku. The list goes on. Loaded draft. I don't know what the Bears were doing, dude. They were so desperate.
All right, now we're gonna go onwards to some MLB, some postseason baseball, which me and Brody again are really excited about. We just finished up the ALDS and the NLDS. This is being recorded Wednesday, October 15th. So we just saw Yoshinobu Yamamoto throw a complete game against the Brewers. We saw that the Mariners put up a 10 spot on the Blue Jays. Which means since last week the Yankees are out, the Tigers are out, the Phillies are out, and the Cubs are out. Brody and I were both correct on the Phillies and the Cubs, and mine was you know what sucks is mine was a contingency that if the Tigers got to Game 4,
Which they
won Game
did.
4, they'd win Game 5. I thought Tarek Skubal would be good enough to win, which he was.
Offense,
Just the
nothing, dude.
offense in a 15 inning thriller. I mean, it was just double play, double
Yeah.
play, double
If
play.
you guys
It
didn't
was
stay up and watch that, which I stayed up until the 13th inning, and then I had to call it quits for the night. But great game.
what a game,
If you're
exactly.
if you're a fan of pitching, like this is your game. But if you're a Tigers fan, I'm having 7 aneurysms and 8 heart attacks during this game because my season's on the line. My ace pitcher just threw a magnificent game just for them to blow it. So, but hats
And
off to the Tigers, man.
I'm a big fan of when starters come out of the pen. I love seeing it because you're just like they're going into waters that they've never been in
I
before.
hate it, dude. I hate it.
Logan Gilbert throwing three shutty. Luis Castillo coming in, finishing the inning, getting it done. I think he came out for another inning after that. Bullpen did great. Bizardo did great. Andres Munoz did great. Matt Brash did great. I mean, those boys were throwing. And Tigers, I mean, they did great too. Jack Flaherty came out of the pen, did a good job. Tommy Canley was the guy that ended up giving it up for the Tigers. Tough riding. But again, great series, great game. Really, I mean, that's what makes postseason baseball. So we're happy to see that. And then Yankees just didn't have enough firepower against the Blue Jays. I said if Cam Schlittler could deliver them how a Game 4 performance similarly to the way that he did against Boston in the wild card series that the Yankees would win. Unfortunately, he did not. Not that he pitched bad per se, but just wasn't enough. That Blue Jays offense is just relentless. And we'll get into how they're doing in the ALCS and how the NLCS is going. ALCS, obviously, Mariners are up 2-0 right now. Game 1 was exactly how you would expect the Mariners to win. Blue Jays didn't come out well, didn't hit the ball. I think George Springer had a leadoff home run against Bryce Miller, and Bryce Miller went shutty the rest of the way for 6 innings. Pitching was great. Bullpen was great for the Mariners. Cal Raleigh went Yabo in Game 1, and the Mariners get the job done. Now we go to Game 2, and you look, hey, uh, Mariners they went for it. They just dogpiled the guys. And that one's kind of a non-talking point. I'll say something of note. Brian Wu was added to the ALCS roster, so we will see him in some capacity, whether that is as a starter or as a bullpen long reliever or high leverage pitcher. Well, we look forward to seeing that. Moving over to Los Angeles and Milwaukee. The story of this series so far is not Milwaukee's pitching, it's not Milwaukee's hitting, it's not Los Angeles' hitting. This is a Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. These two wins are on their backs. Those two guys have won pretty much single-handedly these two games from. We talk about a leadoff homer. Jackson Chourio goes Yabo against Yoshinobu Yamamoto to start the game. Yamamoto gives up 2 more hits the rest of the game. I think the final one coming in the 4th inning and goes the next 5 innings straight, just cutting him up, getting him out. And Blake Snell pitched one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life in the postseason. TBS showed a graphic at the end. Most games, I think 7 innings, 2 or less hits, 9 strikeouts. Blake Snell has the most in postseason history. 5. Max Scherzer has 3, and then there's 4 tied with 2. Blake Snell's like 30. Like either he's still young. I think about it. I'm like, wow, this is. I mean, he's a phenomenal pitcher, and it looks like we're getting a Dodgers another date in the World Series for the Dodgers. So obviously we're super pumped to have some postseason baseball. Maybe not as pumped to see some familiar faces, which I know Brody's not a big fan of the Dodgers as I am. Not to say that I am either, but I enjoy watching greatness,
It
I
is great.
suppose.
I can't deny the great pitching, and like you said, um, Brewers. You know, this is a team that we really hyped up. How many runs did they score through those first two games, Alex?
One they lost 2-1 the first game. They lost 5-1 the second game. So 2 runs in 2 games.
2 runs in 2 games, and this is a team that has been great all season. A legendary season. This is something for them that's like the Brewers had a chance. Now they still have a chance.
Yeah,
This is a team we've been hyping up to be in a World Series.
absolutely.
Frankly, I thought with the way the Dodgers have been playing, they've been kind of streaky. They are a great baseball team. They have great pitching. They have literally like 5 caliber MVP pitchers on their team. However, you have to get the job done, right? You have to have everybody on your team hitting. You have to have your bats going. You have to have Mookie Betts feeling right, Muncy feeling right, and your pitching going right. And that is going all right for them right now. Everything for the Dodgers right now looks like the Dodger magic, man. It looks like what has gotten them to the World Series in the past. So I'm afraid, as you know, I'm kind of an LA hater. We might be seeing another Dodgers World Series, which is not what I wanted to see. But it's a long series. Best of 7. The Brewers can still come back from this, but they really have to put more runs on the board because 2 runs through 2 games is not going to get it done against a team like the Dodgers. So
Absolutely. And I think Brody and I might have different pitchers. I don't know if you pitched growing up. I pitched growing up. When I'm watching a game, I'm like, all right, I like to watch the game through the eyes of the pitcher. Hey, are we gonna do this here? Are we gonna do this? What are we gonna tunnel this with? What are we gonna uh, 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 follow up each pitch with? And just a quick explanation of what tunneling is. Okay, Brody, you're familiar with this. Say Brody is a right-handed hitter and he likes to crowd the plate. I'm gonna want to jam him. I'm gonna want to get real close on him. So I'm gonna throw a fastball at 95 directly at his belt, and it's gonna be right on the top corner, inside corner. Called for a ball. Let's say ump's not feeling me. I'm gonna now throw a curveball or a slider, doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter if it's a ball or a strike. It doesn't matter how much movement or vertical break you're getting. That starts on the same plane as that fastball, and all the break will happen in the second half of that 60 feet 6 inches. Okay, so it's gonna look like a fastball out of the hand. Here, 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 here. Dip. Fastball. The first pitch straight. Curveball down. And that's all that tunneling is. I'll say Yoshinobu Yamamoto did phenomenal. He used that splitter really well. We talked about that with Logan Gilbert. Blake Snell is a master of tunneling. Paul Skeens is phenomenal at it, but unfortunately he's not in the postseason. Blake Snell is such a funky lefty pitcher, probably the best stuff out of all lefty pitchers in baseball right now. That curveball is so hard. He spikes it so much. It goes great with the fastball in. He really, for an opposite-handed matchup, righties still have a horribly difficult time tracking the pitch and seeing exactly what Snell is trying to throw to the batter, and it's something that the Brewers are going to have to figure out, and obviously that the Dodgers are going to keep trying and instilling in each pitcher. And with that, we are running very long right now. We had a very in detail conversation in college football. Thank you, James Franklin. So we're gonna get to what we're always really excited about, NFL football, and then maybe we'll have a game later for you guys today, if we've got some time. So, Brody, you ready for a little rundown here?
let's do it, man.
All right, starting on Thursday night, Philadelphia Eagles played New York Giants. The Philadelphia Eagles coming in after their first loss to the Denver Broncos. Giants obviously losing to the Saints. We're not sure if Jackson Dart's good. Cam Scatabo fumbled the week prior. Well, now we know. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatabo played well against a good defense. Eagles have a lot of questions for themselves. 34-17, Giants beat the Eagles.
Absolute cinema.
Denver versus the New York Jets. I have this game circled to talk about in its own highlight for itself. A reminder, we don't want bad games, okay? If we're going to watch London games or Dublin games or
Games
Europe games.
suck, dude.
I don't care. Denver wins this game 13-11. Justin Fields throws for 45 yards. If you include the net passing yards after sacks, he might be at negative. That's how bad this game was. Denver does enough. Bo Nix absolutely plays the most mediocre game you'll see. Not really a great running performance by J.K. Dobbins. R.J. Harvey didn't get to touch the ball too often. Brees Hall didn't have the yak that you would like, or the yards per carry that you'd like. Garrett Wilson doesn't get the ball hardly at all. Justin Fields doesn't run the ball hardly at all. It was just a boring game at a boring time that nobody wants to watch. And I'm at work, by the way. We'll touch on that later, actually. Arizona, Indianapolis, all right? I believe this game was 31-27. Indiana going now 5-1 to Arizona's 2-4. Arizona trying to bounce back after an absolutely dud of a game against Tennessee last week, where we saw Coach Gannon get fined $100,000 for giving Amari DeMarcado a little bit too many pats on the shoulder pads. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor get the job done. They play really well. Tyler Warren is now emerging as a top-tier tight end in the league. Say that 10 times fast. Top-tier tight end 10 times fast.
Hey,
that's how I'm feeling about the Indianapolis Colts right now.
If there's one good thing about Penn State, man, they're going to give you a tight end, aren't they?
We talk about wide receiver U a lot with LSU, Ohio State. Tight end U might be Iowa or Penn State. We're not sure yet. We're not claiming either of them. But yeah, Indiana gets the job done against Arizona. Jacoby Brissett comes in for Kyler Murray late as a substitute before the game starts, and just doesn't get enough done. Los Angeles Chargers versus Miami. The Chargers trying to get back on the win wagon after starting 3-0, following that up with 0-2. They do indeed do that. Devon Achane plays well. Tua Tagovailoa has 2 interceptions, one of which is not his fault, but the Chargers do enough. They get a good run game going despite losing Amari and Hampton the week prior. Chargers win the game, and they move to 4-2, while the Miami Dolphins are looking at potentially firing Mike McDaniel after another disappointing loss. New England, New Orleans. Is Drake May arrived? I look at this game and I go, wow, Drake May, absolute stunning quarterback play by him. The Patriots do get the job done against the Saints. Stephon Diggs doesn't have the game that you would expect after the week he had against the Bills, but guess what? Kayshon Boutte plays phenomenal. Douglas plays phenomenal. Don't know exactly how well the run game will translate in these upcoming weeks, but the Patriots do enough to get the job done. Defense does enough to get the job done against Spencer Rattler and the Saints. Mike Vrabel gives the boys some pats on the way into the locker room, and the Patriots move on with another win. Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Brody will obviously have some more to say about this later on in the episode. Cleveland can't get any offensive firepower going. Dylan Gabriel, albeit not throwing an interception, should have thrown maybe 18. It felt like that was an atrocious performance for me as a viewer. The Pittsburgh Steelers win 23-9. Aaron Rodgers does enough to get the job done. DK Metcalf does his job. The Steelers defense plays phenomenal, albeit against a poor quarterback. Dallas versus Carolina. Can I finally talk about the Panthers on this show?
Woo!
Can I finally? Rico Dowdle says before the game, I'm coming for you, Jerry Jones. I'm coming for you, Dallas Cowboys, and I'm going to give you my revenge game. And he backs up everything he says. Bryce Young does enough to get the job done. Tedero McMillan scores his first 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott has a great game. George Pickens has a phenomenal game. Javonte Williams, obviously a step back from the week prior, but still was able to get a couple things done on the ground. The Panthers are now 3-3. The Cowboys now below 500 with the tie that they just had against the Green Bay Packers. Let's move forward to Seattle versus Jacksonville. Sam Darnold, obviously coming off a tough loss against Tampa Bay the week prior, puts it up to JSN a couple of times, gets his numbers going, gets the Seattle Seahawks in a good spot. Jacksonville Jaguars aren't able to rally, and we looked at a really good matchup in this week, and Seahawks played far better. JSN played phenomenal, but if there's anything to take that's a positive for the Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. had a far better game. Obviously, the LSU product has been struggling recently with the Jags and Trevor Lawrence, but he got the ball rolling again today. Los Angeles Rams versus the Baltimore Ravens. Cooper Rush starting again at quarterback instead of Lamar Jackson due to injury. You could have written this game down as an automatic win for the Rams in my book. I believe the score was 17-3. Derrick Henry was finally proficient on the ground again, despite the fact that it took 24 carries for him to do so. Puka Nacua gets hurt early in the first half, doesn't have the game that he probably would have liked. Stafford doesn't play particularly great because of that. Devontae Adams didn't do too well. Tyler Higbee, I believe, was the leading receiver. Tutu Atwell didn't have a great game. But the Rams' defense showed up. And Cooper Rush wasn't able to get the job done, obviously. Zay Flowers, a couple costly fumbles, and Rams improve their record, and Ravens fall to a 1-5 team. Pretty rough, and we're looking at the Ravens potentially not making the playoffs this year. Next, we have Tennessee, Las Vegas. Who gives a shit? That's really my synopsis of this game. But Las Vegas gets the job done. Who's surprised? This is why Brian Callahan got fired. We mentioned it earlier. Ashton Genty did enough to help the boys win. Geno Smith, like I said last week, guaranteed for an interception, and even in a win where he didn't actually look that bad, did throw that interception. Hopefully, you guys took my suggestion, got some free coin. And that's all I have to say about this game because nobody watched it. Cincinnati versus Green Bay. Obviously, we talked about last week. Joe Flacco getting traded in division from the Browns to the Bengals. Has a horrendous first half with the elite wide receivers for the Bengals. Comes out in the second half, plays really well, not enough. Jordan Love does enough against the poor defense in Cincinnati. Bengals lose 18-27. Josh Jacobs has a good game for the Packers. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins do eventually have the numbers that we're accustomed to them seeing by the end of the second half and by the end of the game. San Francisco, Tampa Bay, we're looking at potentially a game of the week coming into this week. Is Baker Mayfield going to be able to do well against a pretty solid defense in San Francisco? Unfortunately, we didn't get to see as much as we liked because Fred Warner does leave the game early with a season-ending injury. We wish nothing but good thoughts and prayers to him. Speedy recoveries to him. He's obviously I think the linebacker of this era, and we're always wishing health for our players. So obviously clap it up for him. Hopefully he's doing well. Tampa Bay, however, plays phenomenal, and we look at the receivers that they didn't have playing. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, not in the game. Emeka Egbuka hurt early. Well, good thing we got Tez Johnson to catch 47-yard touchdowns from Baker Mayfield after he's scrambling and rumbling and tumbling and stumbling and still getting the ball down. 3rd and 14 run for Baker Mayfield will probably go down as one of the better plays of the year for the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers get the job done against a Mac Jones-led San Francisco 49ers team. Christian McCaffrey, again, does enough as the main weapon for that team. Scores his first rushing touchdown of the year, but the 49ers cannot get the job done against the Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next, we have our Sunday night football game, Detroit Lions versus Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're on the ropes early in the season, kind of like the Ravens here. Are they going to be able to step up against a team we know is going to come out and perform? Detroit obviously played well, but just not enough. 30-17, KC wins that game. Travis Kelce plays well. Marquise Brown plays well. Patrick Mahomes gets some running yards, going a rushing touchdown as well. Isaiah Pacheco was able to run a little angry, like he was mad at the ground again. Jared Goff didn't play poorly. Amon-Ra didn't get the ball as much as probably people were hoping. Sam Laporta played well. David Montgomery played well. Jahmyr Gibbs did not. Go ahead, bud.
I just want to take this moment to recognize something that Alex is probably getting to in 0.5 milliseconds, but I want to spoil it. Let's not forget our performance of the legendary Brian Branch. What a performance. I mean, what a game. Am I right? What do we have? A couple of slaps, unwarranted slaps, couple of missed daps, and a face mask grab, a little WWE action. So I really wanted to highlight his performance. I thought that was special.
And it's important that you did bring that up because I did not have that on the top of my mind. And we got news yesterday, Tuesday, October 14th, 2 days after the game. Brian Branch will be suspended for 1 game because of that. And that is a tough loss. A Detroit Lions team that's already very thin at DB, and a lot of their secondaries is on the injury report or week to week. Will now lose probably their best member of the secondary. And so it's another tough look, and Kirby Joseph is obviously day-to-day with what he's dealing with in his injuries. KC gets the job done. All the stars come out and play, and Tay-Tay gets something to go home and be happy about. Buffalo, Atlanta, Monday Night Football. Is Buffalo bad? Did we overhype them? Are they the Eagles?
Josh Allen is just trying to do too much.
It's funny. That's a very good point. Buffalo, Atlanta felt very similar to how the week started off with Eagles Giants. Obviously, those are the last 2 undefeated teams coming into the week prior to this one. They both lose. They're both coming into this game now 4-1, and now they both lose again against teams that they should not be losing against. Not to say that the Falcons are at the same caliber as the Giants. I think the Giants are not nearly as good as the Falcons. There's so much more weapons on the Falcons. But I don't think anybody expected the Bills to lose this game. Bijan Robinson showed up phenomenally. Drake London played absolutely great. Was a great go get the ball kind of guy. Great routes that night. And Josh Allen, again, did a little too much trying to be Superman. Run game wasn't as proficient as I'm sure they would have liked, and receivers didn't do too much for him either. Let's move on to Chicago. Go ahead.
It's funny because one thing on the Bills, we talked about this. This is drawing back to Alex and I having a conversation probably 3 weeks ago. Whenever Buffalo and the Ravens, I guess opening week, right? They play that game. We talked about how Josh Allen, the Bills didn't look great throughout that whole game, but Josh Allen becomes Superman, right? He's really good at doing that in the second half, especially. But we even talked about like without Josh Allen, that team loses. So we are at foreshadows to where we are now and how Josh Allen is trying to do too much because he knows that without Josh Allen, that team stinks. It really does. James Cook is good, but they couldn't even get him going. And when that doesn't happen, it's only more stress on Josh Allen. So without Josh Allen, they're not very good. And without anything to help Josh Allen, he starts making those. Yeah, he starts making those forced mistakes. One of the worst decisions I've ever seen him make on the game-sealing interception. Just go out of bounds, dude. Just do something other than throw a tipped pass that ends up being an interception. It's trying to play hero ball, and he's great at it, but it bit him in the butt that times.
And you mentioned mistakes, and that's going to cap off our last game of the week in Chicago and Washington. Redemption for Tyreek Steven and the Chicago Bears. Obviously, Tyreek Stevenson last year during that huge Hail Mary play, probably the play of the year, was hyping up the Bears fans at FedEx Field last year and gave up the Hail Mary to Noah Brown that eventually led the Commanders to beat the Chicago Bears. Chicago comes in to Landover, Maryland, beats them 25-24. Ironically, the same score they beat the Raiders with the week prior. Caleb Williams plays well. DeAndre Swift plays well. Roma Dunze, not quite there. DJ Moore, not quite there. But Caleb Williams does his job. That run game was very proficient. Obviously, it was a big note before the game. Washington's got the number one run offense. Chicago's got the number one worst run defense. Bill Krosky Merritt did not have the game that we were all expecting. And Jaden had to kind of shoulder more of the load. My best friend, from my childhood best friend, Ryan, hopefully he's watching. I don't know if he is. Texted me, he goes, it was a real tough way to lose. It was a real pissy performance. So, obviously Chicago gets the win. Washington and Chicago are now both 3-2. Chicago 0-2 start, 3-0 since. And we will see how that game carries on for the rest of the season for those guys. And that is our NFL recap. Brody, you want to start with Philadelphia and New York Giants for me?
Yeah, let me just touch on a few of these games real quick. Actually, I'm going to start backwards, right where we ended. I'm just going to cap on a couple, and we'll get going. But thank you, Alex, for the great rundown. The Bears lose this game if Jaden Daniels hangs onto the ball. Love Jaden Daniels. It's a rainy night. It's disgusting. The ball slips out of his hands if he didn't see it. He goes to give it to Krosky Merritt, who's been phenomenal, by the way. And it's one of those where it's almost like a throw into the chest instead of a handoff on the ground. Jaden Daniels doesn't do the Cam Newton impression. He dives for the ball. And unfortunately, it was enough to give them some good field position to get a field goal.
Is that really the reason you wanted to talk? So you could give me a Cam Newton?
Yeah, it was. So, anyways, we talked about Josh Allen. They got to figure it out. Is Atlanta good? I can't tell. I can't. I honestly, I don't have an answer for that. I think Bijan Robinson is one of those likable guys in the NFL, though. I do know that. Brian Branch, you're a baby. You're an absolute baby for that, really. He was mad that they didn't call plays on the field and they didn't, there was some chirping on the field. Get over it. You lost. I don't care how many missed penalties they call. And I'm a Chiefs hater. I'm a D1 Chiefs hater. I don't care. It's after the whistle, right? Or after the game. You're really trying to do that. And then like Juju, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Juju, but now Juju's getting hate, for getting slapped. The funny thing he did was he flopped because it was at the end of the game when the seconds
because the clock's still running.
The clock's running. He's trying to get the flag, so he flops, and then once he realizes that the game's over, he's like, "Oh, I'm not doing that," and then he runs after him. So, anyways, Dan Campbell came out and said the right thing. You can't do that. It's not what the football team stands for. Brian Branch has a history of this. He's a very aggressive player. This is not the first time he's tried to start things like this. That's what happens when you go to college at Alabama. Next, we have, as you talked about, Flacco. I don't know. I just don't think that was a smart move to come in and take Flacco as your starter when you already have Jake Browning. It's not like it was going to get better You might have less interceptions with Flacco, but I really don't think that was. I don't know. I guess that was kind of a knee jerk thing for the sort of Bengals to do, just something other than Jake Browning. Um, you talked about Fred Warner. Fred Warner, great linebacker, really unfortunate. They also lose Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, I believe, is out for the season as well. So the injury history continues to hurt 49ers. Some bug going around. And yeah, it's going to be a long season for them, I think. Still waiting for Brock Purdy, too. Baker Mayfield is MVP thus far. I don't want to hear anything else. Steelers Browns. Let's talk about this one. So Steelers defense finally playing up to their pay grade, right? It is a crappy Cleveland offense, but I will say Dylan Gabriel, the stat sheet's not going to reflect his performance. He threw the ball a bunch, like over 50 times. He had a lot of drop passes. He was, Cleveland stinks on so many levels. They're just bad. But they're not helping him. I would have liked to see Shadur Sanders get some time at the end of the game. Why not? Let the rookies compete.
It's because there's going to be quarterback controversy, and Kevin Stefanski doesn't want that.
Yeah, he doesn't, and I think Kevin Stefanski also should be fired. I have one of my best friends is a Browns fan, and we talk about it all the time. Kevin Stefanski does just enough to keep the Browns not 0-16. So therefore, the NFL world goes, oh, the Browns aren't 0-16 this year? We're fine. Now it would be 0-17. It's like this mediocre. It's like he's not making the Browns terrible. They're just like really bad. So it's fine, right? No. I mean, have you not seen enough? I think Stefanski is a good coach, and I think he could find success somewhere else. It's not working anymore, dude. It's not working with the Browns. There's been no change. It's the same Browns team I've watched for the last 3 years. They had success when Baker was there. Let Baker go. Look what he's doing now. Just a bad organization. I don't know. That's all I have to say. But Aaron Rodgers, Unk still got it. DK, I think the DK and George Pickens trade is going to end up being one of those Stephon Diggs, scenarios where Stephon Diggs obviously went to Buffalo. Justin Jefferson comes in. It's one of those where neither team is losing right now. George Pickens looks like a number one while CD is out. And I believe DK has really caught fire. I mean, he's one of those physical athletes in the game. And him and Aaron Rodgers have found a connection. 4 straight touchdowns in 4 straight games. So that's looking like a great trade. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see Shadur coming up. I bet we will. And then Drake May. We can't let them have another Tom Brady. We can't. It can't happen. All 3 of his touchdown passes came in the first half. A little lackluster in the second half, but they did enough to get the win. And I honestly thought Spencer Rattler didn't play terrible. Nobody's going to talk about Spencer Rattler because
what's funny? Sorry to cut you off. I don't think Spencer Rattler's had just an absolutely atrocious game yet this year.
No, he's not playing. But no one's ever going to talk
about
him.
Playing on a bad team.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, I have to. If Dylan Gabriel could take a page out of Spencer Rattler's playbook, and when he throws a check down, maybe let's throw a good ball to 4 yards away. And then when I take a shot, let's throw a good ball.
Yeah.
It's just, I think Spencer Rattler plays, for what he is right now, a second-year quarterback, plays perfect game manager football to me.
He does, yeah. Unfortunately, there's just not enough...
Weapons?
Weapons, yes, that's the word, on this Saints offense. Yeah, Colts still look good, man. I'm just running down my game recap because you already heard it all, but in case there's anything, the Ravens just shows how bad the Ravens are, especially without Lamar Jackson. They're bad. They're really bad. Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback. Obviously, we know that. But I didn't realize how much... I mean, the offense is literally around Lamar Jackson. And that's why, 2 or 3 years ago when Lamar Jackson got hurt, they bring in 2 quarterbacks that literally are exactly like Lamar Jackson. The running, the screens, the PA, play actions. They literally build that offense around the quarterback. They've done a great job of building it around Lamar Jackson. But when you bring in Cooper Rush, it's just not going to get the job done. And on top of that, your defense has been such a letdown all season. Jackson Smith and Jigba, this is the 3rd week I haven't started him on fantasy because I have such a loaded team, but I need to start him. I'm an idiot. And then, one of the worst games of all time is between the Broncos and Jets. Not even going to talk about that. Horrible.
No, we're talking about that.
No, I wake up, and what do I get on fantasy? Garrett Wilson. A point. It was like 0.7. It was like 1.70. I don't even think that was my choice to start him. It was one of those quick. It happened at 9 a.m. or whatever. I didn't get to really check my lineup the day of. And then Jackson Dart. And CTE Scatabo
Hey
is
now.
yeah, man, they're a couple of dogs. So it's worry time for the Eagles. If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm worrying because you've been winning games, but is this really how you want to win games? Is this going to get you that far in the postseason? Which all Eagles fans want to another Super Bowl. Um, Dude, it's not happening. AJ Brown looks lazy. He's giving up on routes after he beats a dude. Devonta Smith not getting the job done. Jalen Hurts not airing the ball out. Just a mess in Philadelphia. But they're still in it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I benched CTE Scatterbuff. I didn't
Yeah,
start him this week. I'm
yeah.
so upset.
But so did I. No. Actually, you have it better than I did. I picked him up thinking it was going to be a steal, and then I was like, okay, well, I don't have space on my roster. I'll just, he'll be there. No one's going to pick him up. So I drop him, and 30 points this week. That's fine. And now he's unavailable. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
what it is.
all right, guys. So that's gonna be it for the NFL. Usually, we'll do a little bit of a rundown after the rundown, but due to the sake of time and the extensive amount of games that were talkable aboutable, we're gonna move on. We're gonna play a game, and we're gonna do it first, and that's kind of partly the reason that we're gonna move past the NFL so quickly. Is Brody and I are going to do a quiz. This was the staple. If anybody wants an insight into how Brody and I became such close friends, there's a website called Sporkle. Okay, and Brody and I, freshman year of college, was two doors down from me in our dorm. We would get together after math, which we had math together, or before math, depends on the day. We had a bunch of classes together, and we would see who knew NFL drafts better. But because the NFL draft is far gone and nowhere near, we're kind of in this dead zone. We're gonna do a baseball one in the honor of the MLB postseason here. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna do a little quiz on final stats of the 2025 season for our baseball players, and we'll put it on the screen here shortly, and you will see exactly what we are talking about. We're going to try and do as best as we can. All right, you ready, Brody? Let's do it, brother.
You gonna screen share?
Yes, sir.
Sweet, dude. I have to work at 3. I don't know if I can. This sucks, dude. All right, hey, let's call it. Let's do. Save this for next time. We'll do this exact game next time.
It'll take us 5 minutes, Brody.
No, let's save it.
Brody!
Dude, I want to heat up. I want to heat up my Nashville hot chicken bowl, and that takes like 5 minutes to heat up and 5 minutes to cool.
5 minutes to heat up? Are you high?
No, it does, dude. I'm serious. Okay. All right.
Welcome back to the Starting Two Pod. Unfortunately, in new developments, Brody wants to eat his Nashville chicken hot tenders before he goes to work, so now we can't do this quiz. I have begged and pled with him that we could do this quiz in about 7 minutes, probably less. So, Brody, I would like to hear a formal apology in press conference form from Louisiana, Brian Kelly, and that I think that will make me feel better.
Go ahead and interview me.
Brody, how does it feel knowing that you're letting down dozens and dozens of people, and you're not doing the quiz with Alex, who really is the main one that you're letting down, and that it's gonna kill the program because of this?
Well, we're sitting here and
That's not Southern. That's not Southern.
Well,
again.
Well, we're sitting here and we're talking about the same things. We're talking about the same things. And I'm hungry. I'm a hungry boy. I love me some baseball, but I love me some hot chicken more. And I gotta go to work. And these boys got to go to work. We got to do more. We got to do more for the program. I know I'm letting the team down. I'm probably gonna have the whole rosters already packed their bags. They're leaving. They're going to Penn State. Whoever's going there, maybe I'll follow them there. Maybe I'll follow in James Franklin's footsteps. But I gotta say that I'm hungry, and I want to do this quiz, and I want to talk about all these stat leaders. I want to talk about Big Dumper. I want to talk about Aaron Judge, a little Vladdy action in there. I want to talk about Scooball, some schemes, but I got to tell you, my boys come first, and my boys want to go eat some Nashville hot chicken with Franco over here. That's all I got to say, and y'all, the media's going to make this into something. This reporter right here has been heckling me the whole game, and I just got to say that ain't right. That ain't right. Let the boys play. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a hell of an accent.
Is it good?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. I'm
You sound like
practicing.
you could be on like Yellowstone.
Didn't that sound like a? It sounded like a soft, like a really pleasant version of Dabo Sweeney.
Well, I can do. I don't. Hey, can I do it? Can I do it? See, when I go southern, I go low.
Hey now, baby, lock them doors and turn them lights
Maybe
down
like
low.
down low.
Baby, lock them doors and turn them lights down low. All
Oh,
right.
all right. Well, I do appreciate that as a co-chair of the Starting Two podcast, and I can't hear you. My AirPods just died.
No, I'm just thinking about how at this point we probably could have done the quiz, but it's over now. Past time.
I know. Okay, so well, as the co-chair of the Starting Two pod, I accept Mr. Minnick's apology on behalf of his Nashville chicken tenders. Um, and I acknowledge that that is a worthy cause, and it may have taken me a little bit too long of time to acknowledge that, but I do acknowledge it. And in the theme of today's episode, and given that Brody's southern accent was so formidable, and I don't know exactly how mine sounded. I'm certainly hoping it was near as close to as realistic as it could be. We're gonna do this outro in a southern accent, if you do not mind, Brody.
Well, no, let's do it, man.
So, Brody, I just want to say it has been a pleasure going to work with you every day for the last couple weeks, and getting on here every Wednesday morning and having my lunch pail right with me, and my heart on my sleeve, knowing that I get to do this job and bleed with you every single show. So I just want to say thank you, and that's all I got to say. I have been Alex Desai.
Been Brody Minnick, and this is the Starting Two podcast, and we're going to give you guys something special next episode. We're going to do 2 games. You hear me? 2. Let me see that, Alex. We're going to do
Not just one for us, but one for you.
So we've been the Starting Two podcast, and we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Okay?
Farewell.
Woo!
Bon voyage.